Good evening, afternoon, night, morning, whenever you find a way to watch or listen to this podcast. This is me, Omar Rashan Borja. And again, we have a very special guest. For the first time, we have someone who I'm not sure the position, who runs pretty much a stadium and events at a historic stadium. We have Justin Dorsey, who works for historic War Memorial Stadium in Little Rock. I'm not sure if I did your position justice, sir. So if you want to just explain your position better than I can, please do.
No, you're absolutely correct. I'm the stadium manager at War Memorial Stadium. I'm just really excited to be here and tell you what, really excited and blessed to be in this position that I am. To be in such a historic stadium. It's pretty neat. We were built in 1948. One of the oldest in the state of Arkansas.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, my podcast with Jackson, we're a college football awards podcast. And I mean, if you watch it, you're pretty much either at least a casual football fan. So if you're casual, that's at least my age. You remember Darren McFadden, playing games at War Memorial Stadium. If you're a little bit on the younger side, maybe a Ryan Mallett or I guess Alex Collins and those teams playing at War Memorial. So War Memorial Stadium is a stadium that has a spot in the national spotlight as Arkansas plays games there every year, either every year or almost every year now after they restructured the deal. But definitely a great piece of college football history, as it's not an on-campus stadium, but it's a stadium that built by, I guess, was it built by the city, sir, or is it
No, it was actually built by the state.
oh,
It
by the
was
state?
it
Okay.
was it was a state project, built kind of as a joint collaboration, to honor the men and women who'd fought in World War I and World War II as a military memorial.
Yeah, well, yeah. So okay, so state run a war memorial stadium. So definitely a sign of the eras. You don't really see I guess the cities. You don't really see stadiums getting built unless there's a team attached to it, a pro team attached to it. So definitely a symbol of another era and a piece of history. So I'll go forward with my questions, Mr. Dorsey. My first question at early in the year, there was a kickoff game between McMurray and Birmingham Southern. And unless you're a diehard Division III fan, you might have missed it. But it's kind of strange to get neutral site Division III games, especially with two schools that are out of state. And so I saw this and I was kind of surprised. So what was the process of getting that game scheduled? Because it's not every day you get a team from Texas and a team from Alabama meeting in the middle at a neutral site in Arkansas.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we were super excited to host them, and just kind of going a little bit in the tie of in the history of the stadium. We're always looking for new matchups. We're looking to host some of these historic first of games. So we've got contacts with a lot of universities and a lot of different conferences and divisions, and always trying to get that. But this one's actually really interesting. I think it'll tie into a question later with Hendrix, and actually one of the coaches for McMurray used to coach at Hendrix, and we had a relationship built with them through the Hendrix matchup. The facilities here just worked out really, really well. And with Coach Neal, we talked to them after he went to McMurray. They kind of got into this multi-year deal with Birmingham Southern where they had to play an out-of-conference game. And so we were just talking about that, and it just kind of got brought up of like, man, it's a long way from Abilene to Birmingham, Alabama, where it's kind of right in the middle. And it also gave both of these schools and a lot of these kids the ability to play in a much bigger arena, under the lights of a much bigger stadium, a lot bigger stage. So I think it was a great experience for those teams. It was a great experience for Little Rock and for Arkansas to get to host some out-of-state teams kind of coming together for a neutral site. So.
Oh, yes, sir. I mean, it's funny you mentioned Abilene too. Is like we were talking before we went live about how El Paso's kind of removed from everything out here on the west side of Texas, and Abilene's kind of close, being about 4 or 5 hours away. So I mean, I totally understand that. And I'm glad that Birmingham Southern was able to, or was happy to I guess move a home game to Little Rock. And what a surprise it was for these kids. I'm sure when they were recruited to play for McMurray or Birmingham Southern, if you would have told them they're going to play in the same stadium that guys like Darren McFadden, Jamarcus Russell, I guess Dwayne Bowe played in, that they would have been surprised. They would have looked at you kind of funny. So my second question is, and we talked before about how I guess your answer might be shifted in a certain way, but what was the economic impact of having the two schools come to Little Rock? Because a lot of the like, if you're a fan of bowl games, you know that bowls, one of the main purposes of bowl games is for tourism for cities. And so this wasn't a bowl game, but you have two fan bases from two different cities coming to Little Rock. So what was the economic impact, or I guess more so the I guess social impact, as you were sort of saying before we
Yeah,
went live?
no, absolutely. So, some of these games, as you we talked a little bit earlier, especially the first, it's a long way to travel. It's a little bit difficult. So maybe the dollar and the impact of actual, like, the amount of people traveling. It was really actually well attended, though, surprisingly. So I mean, you're putting you're booking motel rooms and things like that. So I mean, that's always really good. But to me, I see more value in uh, just for Little Rock and Central Arkansas and for War Memorial Stadium is getting the name out there, and giving these other teams and other areas kind of a glimpse as what we've got. Because if you're in the state of Arkansas, we host the AAA high school playoffs and have done that for forever. So if you're a high school football kid in Arkansas, anytime in the last 20, 30 years you've played, if you've made it, whether you're in 2A all the way up to 7A or 6A, any of those all the way up, you've played your championship game here. They know what that's like from the small town Arkansas, whatever. And a lot of these kids go on to play college ball, whether that's D1 or all the way to D3, but wherever you go, if you're a high school football, so there's a lot of knowledge in Arkansas, and a lot of these kids go off. And we've had that happen before with the NJCAA championships now that we host. We're in a deal with them, getting to bring some of these kids back. Any Arkansas, kids or recruits that go up to college get to come back here. So it's more about just giving that experience, and sharing that of what we have to offer. I mean, we're 54,000. There's just not a lot of D3 schools that get to experience that, and the lights and the jumbotron. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that you give back. I mean, it's kind of cool, like you mentioned, to have the Arkansas kids come back and, relive, some of those glory days as well. Especially with with the Birmingham Southern McMurray game, and the NJCAA championship, excuse me, that the stadium hosts. So, my next question is, Hendrix will play at War Memorial Stadium for the third straight season on November 4th. Is there, or no, November 5th, excuse me. Is there a long-term plan to have Hendrix play at War Memorial Stadium, or I guess any other Arkansas schools in Division III?
We for sure have Hendrix, and we're on board. I don't see that going away anytime soon. We've got a good relationship with those guys. And then we're always looking to add more. I think that because the Hendrix games have been going so well, and it's such a neat thing for them, and the tailgating that goes on, because that's kind of what we're known for. If you've ever been to a Razorback game here at War Memorial, even more so than Fayetteville, is just the tailgate atmosphere that we have here on the surrounding golf course. And Hendrix has certainly taken advantage of that, and it just really makes for an awesome experience that we're trying to expand that out with the successes that they're having of getting a few other teams in that conference, and looking long term down the road to maybe even getting conference championships and things like that for some of these conferences.
Yeah, I mean, that would be amazing for sure. I mean, it's just great to have these schools play there. I guess the tailgating scene for Hendrix. I'm not sure if any Hendrix fans will be watching this, but I wonder if they can testify to there ain't no party like a Hendrix party, because a Hendrix party don't stop. So,
Right.
so my
That's
next
right.
question, my next question, I guess going a bit on the going a bit. I guess sorry, my bad, lost track. But again, asking the economic impact of the Hendrix game with Millsaps at War Memorial Stadium last year, and what's the estimated economic impact of their game with Rhodes this year? Because I know that Hendrix, of course, is like close to War Memorial, but Millsaps being in Mississippi, kind of far away, and Rhodes out there in Memphis. So, I mean, I know you're probably like, I know you said you don't have any dollar amounts, but like
Well, no, I don't have any exact dollar amounts, just but from that feel. And actually, we really pleased with. I mean, Hendrix shows up. Hendrix definitely shows up. I think they said they had more folks here in tailgating than they do at their home field for a home game, just because of that atmosphere, just because of the tailgating, and it's playing here. So there was definitely a show up for Hendricks, and really impressed at how well Millsap. It's not as far as a lot of people would think, and then Rhodes were expecting kind of the same thing. I mean, Memphis is 2.5 hours away, so it's not just unreasonable for them to come down and spend the day in Little Rock and get to experience kind of the same thing. There was actually a decent little size tailgate area for Millsap, and they got really involved in the game. So we're just really excited to host those type things, and I think it's way more than dollars when you get to mingle and see that atmosphere on a fall Saturday, and the experience that some of these schools get is pretty neat to see and be a part of.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm sure it's gonna be hard to draw the Rhodes folks from the Memphis barbecue out here to Arkansas, even though I've never been to Arkansas. Does Arkansas have good barbecue?
Yes, we actually do. I don't know that I'd put it up there with Memphis barbecue, but
I tried. I tried to vouch. But
yeah.
going to my next question, a little bit on the negative side as we kind of shift with this interview. Earlier this summer, one of the big stories, I guess, in terms of non-NFL pro football was Major League Football, the fiasco that occurred there with the league folding before even playing a game. One of the teams scheduled to play was a team called the Arkansas Attack, who would have called War Memorial Stadium home. How much of a hit to the local community was it that the Arkansas Attack never got to play a game this year?
We're really disappointed anytime something like that doesn't pan out. And again, talking dollars, that's really hard to put a value and stuff on for something that's never happened before. But I know that there was a lot of excitement and a lot of planning and prep and kind of build up and going into this. And we were just really, Arkansas doesn't have a pro team of anything to get behind. So I know there was a lot of support and really hopes that this would happen. And so, yeah, it was kind of a letdown this year that didn't get to go on. But from talking with some of those folks and talking with people around, we're still optimistic that it's not a for done thing, that hopefully we can get something up and running to give the people of Arkansas and kind of around here a semi-pro team or some type of professional level team to rally behind. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if you watch the USFL season earlier in the season in the spring,
Yeah.
you saw that they showcased Legion Field to the country. Kind of a stadium that a lot of people have forgotten about. Now the UAB has their own on-campus stadium. So I'm sure that with the games, as they're rumored to be on Amazon Prime, as I had covered before. With a friend, the game's rumored to be on Amazon Prime. It would have done the same thing for Arkansas and Little Rock, showcasing War Memorial Stadium and just its history and its great features to the country. So really a lost opportunity there, and I hope the state and I guess Major League Football can figure something, or some league can figure something out.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, just keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully that'll pan out. Yeah, for sure.
Any league, the more football, the better, in my
Absolutely,
opinion.
that's the way we look at it.
Whatever league it is.
Yeah, that's the way we look at it too. We added 8-man even to high school. So like fill up those days with football. That's what it's all about in the fall.
Absolutely, spring, summer too, whatever season.
Yeah,
it
whatever
is.
we can get.
So my last question, this kind of went by. I mean, I've had a great time talking to you, Mr. Dorsey. But so is there a plan in place to have Arkansas play Arkansas State and Arkansas Pine Bluff at War Memorial more frequently? Because looking at these games, I know last year was the first meeting between Arkansas Pine Bluff and Arkansas for the forever. And these are just great events for the state to bring these I guess three fan bases together playing against, the Razorbacks at this stadium. So is there a plan in place? Or I'm not sure if that's more of a question for the athletic directors.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, I can tell you what we know for sure. But Arkansas, the University of Arkansas hasn't played an in-state rival, I want to say in like 71, 70, I mean, it's been forever since we've played an in-state rival. So that kind of came out and we had this UAPB game for the first time. It was really well attended. And University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, they're a great program. They got a great band. I mean, they're known all around. And I think that halftime performance, if you weren't at that game or seen it, I think that joint band halftime performance is probably the best halftime performance of any college football game I think I've ever seen. It was phenomenal. But Arkansas, we're in the middle of a 5-year deal with them that runs until 2025, and we're slotted for them to play UAPB again in 2024, and then they will play Arkansas State in 2025, and that'll be the first meeting between those two teams. And we're already getting calls since that was announced right now for a game in 2025. People trying to buy tickets and tailgate spots, and they're not on sale yet. So we expect sell out and probably the tailgating to be better than it's ever been. So it's really something to look forward to. And as far as beyond 2025 season, all that's still in negotiations and up to athletic directors and things like that. But we're optimistic.
Yeah, I mean that's just amazing that that the fans are thinking ahead. I know I peek at future schedules and like, oh, that game would be nice to go to in that year. But as far as buying tickets or like asking to buy tickets for games, 2-3 years in advance, I would never. So really shows the dedication of Arkansas, of football fans in the state of Arkansas, for sure. And I know as for 2025, I hope, or beyond 2025, I hope that they can continue to have these games going, because I know that the agreements, I guess the agreements between the stadium and the Razorbacks have been scaled back, which is sad, I think, in my opinion. But I do understand where the fan bases and athletic directors are coming from, because I'm pretty sure Fayetteville's a couple hours away, or at least 1 hour away. And asking fans to travel from Fayetteville to Little Rock is a big ask.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But it's just kind of a way of things. But we're hoping to maintain the tradition. I mean, there was a time early in Arkansas where they played as many games here as they did in Fayetteville, years ago, and it's just kind of something that's a part of Arkansas, are having these Little Rock games for the fan base that's here. And I think, especially drawn with the Arkansas State, that's a game that's been asked for a lot of years, and talked about for a very, very long time. I remember talking about it when I was a kid. Everybody wanting and wishing that Arkansas would play Arkansas State, and so now it's going to happen. People are wanting to lock that in. They're wanting to make sure they have their tailgate spot. It's definitely a historic thing, and because it's the last game of that contract, everybody's wondering, is it going to happen again? Is it a one-time thing? There's just a lot of what ifs right now, and everybody's wanting to know. So they're definitely wanting to make the most of that opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's just interesting to, like you mentioned, history. If you look back with like Alabama and Auburn, like so much about War Memorial Stadium is just a relic from a different time, because you look at Alabama, Auburn playing select games at either Lad Peebles out there in Mobile, or at the Crampton Bowl, or of course Alabama. Everyone knows Alabama had half their home schedule at Legion Field before Bryant Denny became so colossal. So it's just a relic of a different time, and I hope they can come up with an agreement past 2025, whether it be in-state opponents or maybe the paycheck game, like the case is next year, where I mean Arkansas plays Western Carolina at Little Rock. So whatever it is, I mean I love games there. I love games at War Memorial Stadium, and sort of at these municipal stadiums. Gotta get the word out. It's early in the morning.
Yeah, no,
But
I
yeah,
hear you. It's just an experience, I mean, especially when it doesn't happen that often, these historic type games. I mean, you see it all over the world. I was reading an article the other day where I want to say it was in Croatia. They actually played a Major League Soccer match in a 2,000-euro like stone, field. They had retroed and done stuff there, and had a very limited type. So it's something about playing in these historic venues, even though they're smaller, may not have the seating capacity, but the history and the tradition that goes along with it, it's a completely different experience than what you would get at Donald W. Reynolds Fayetteville, or like Denny Bryant, some of these big stadiums, these modern, but to kind of go back in time and play at some of these historic, where all these historic great people have played, before you. And, there's the Miracle on Markham, all these stories that are built around all the things that have happened in the past. So I hope that those can continue.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you mentioned, Donald W. Reynolds Stadium. It's like, yeah, these stadiums have history. The on-campus stadiums have history, but it's like they don't look like they did, 70 years ago. I mean, War Memorial still looks like, for the most part, what it did, like
For the most
50,
part, just
60.
exactly, yeah.
So, I mean, maybe it's like, maybe that's a bad thing for some people, but I think it's great. I mean, if the stadium's still standing and in good, I guess, architectural or integrity, I mean, if it looks the same, it's great. It's just a great throwback. So, um, you know, Viva La War Memorial Stadium, and I'm
Absolutely.
excited for the future of the stadium. Thank you, Mr. Dorsey, for taking time early in the morning. I know we're both kind of struggling here. Haven't made my morning coffee yet, but this was fun, morning coffee or not.
It was. It was. I really appreciate you having me on. And man, if you ever make it to Little Rock, holler, man. We want to get you to a game. Um, so whatever game, if you can make it, man, give me a holler. Let's see a game.
Yeah, I'm trying next year. Hopefully, granted with my schedule, I guess hopefully our work doesn't get in the way for a Labor Day weekend trip to Little Rock for Western Carolina, Arkansas. Even though that might not be the most competitive game to watch, it's still an experience at the stadium.
It will be. It will be. Well, I appreciate you taking time having me on, man. Thank you.
Thank you for taking your time. I appreciate it.
All right.
All right.